I'm Kristian. I also brought a box, and I'll tell you what's inside. And you in the Pittsburgh area, which is closest, will have. I'll send it around so you can see. Okay, optical microchip. So we're talking hardware, we're talking deep tech, and I'll talk about also the environment, but also food. And you will. I'll save the best for last. So first, if you, I'll do like that, and then you can just, so I don't have to, yeah. So I'll go through our chip, how we collect data, and the fresh food. Next. Very, very systematic, isn't it? So what, Tunable is a company founded quite a few years, actually. So it's been out of Sintef Research Institute in Oslo. They've been developing over 15 to 20 years, MEMS technology that could be used for sense of smell or multi-gas analysis. And the one thing you should bring from this session is the word olfaction. Look it up in the internet, machine olfaction. That is multi-gas analysis combined to smells. Or what I always say when I should describe smells, this is what this guy do. He drags in air in his nose, the receptors in his nose collects data from the molecules, and his brain is then computing that to smells. Called olfaction. Look it up on the internet. So what we have is a MEMS technology or a microchip. And why do we do this? Look at your phone. It got a lot of sensors. But does it tell you what's around it? No. And there's a reason for that. So please. Here you see it. For all you here. I'm trying to get. Here we are. This is the size of it, and I'll send it down so you can actually hold it and see it. And of course, since it's a microchip, it can be really scalable. So please jump to the next one. And what we're doing here is, I would say, closer to what you can do in the laboratory than what you can get on the internet. I mean, measuring gases or measuring CO2, for example, is really simple. You go into the internet, you order a small device, and it measures something for you. But if you want to measure what's in a gas and tell what it smells, good luck. There are some very sophisticated instruments on laboratories that can do it. But we have a technology that is coming very close to replicating the human nose. This is bragging, so I'll leave it to it. We'll spend time on the more interesting how we do this. And interesting, when we talk about collecting data from fumes, the traditional way is doing that in a pipe. You extract the gas, you put it through an analyzer, and then you analyze it. But when it comes to making it so small that a microchip, you can think a number of other solutions. And there are very simple, cheap solutions you can get today that collects CO2 level, for example. We've been putting our tunable nose on transformers for a couple of years, and it's actually putting on top of a transformer and smells what happens inside the transformer, which was not so very important 10 years ago, because all transformers in Norway were running at 50%. But now you have peak loads. You have less availability of electricity, and you have the peak loads in the morning, and then you want to run these transformers at high loads. And you want to know whether there's a problem coming in front of you on the transformers. And that the traditional way of doing that is taking oil samples, sending to the laboratory, and then they pick out the gases that are in the oil. Now we're monitoring this 24/7, 365, with data going up to a cloud solution and then feeding back to the customer. Just as you saw in the other presentation. Go back, next. So, our first customers, or what we did first, was to measure fumes in fuel fumes, in energies, LNG, for example. That's been a very interesting market for us, and also emissions. And imagine, on land, there is no chimney over a certain size that doesn't have a regulation on how much you can send out of GHGs, for example. On sea, there are some rules and there are no measurements. There is no control. But it's coming. So 3 years ago, when we were presented that we can have this microchip, put that, you can measure everything that comes out of your chimney and report it, they were, I don't want to know it. Last year, they were quite positive. This Christmas, the EU announced that actually ships need to pay for the CO2 emissions from 2024. And from 2026, they also have to pay for the methane and laughing gas emissions. That changes the whole thing. So, and then this machine olfaction data stream, and actually I put this here because you can use this for measuring explosives. You can measure narcotics, and it's a good job there. And this is, take next one. This is much more. If you press play, so this, can you turn down the volume, please? So let's know. Okay, then you have some background music. So this is our inside that. And what we do is we scan. So we look for that spectrum, and it tells you here's the hydrocarbons, here, coming in, and that also makes a signal. There's two levels of the signal. It's the signal that you see and the signal that are there. So that graph tells you that these are the gases present. There is no elephant in the room. Gas elephant. So yeah, and if you dive into this, you saw the graph. It has some hidden data as well. And if you please press the one, I will now tell you first on the industrial approach. You go into look for what we have installed, and I could spend time on what we're doing for Equinor, what we do for ships and so on, but jump to the next one, because this is what extremely interesting. Food is transported, fresh food is transported all over the world. And there's two things. First is the carbon, or the freshness of that food is extremely important. If you send tomatoes from Italy to Sweden, there is a loss. And it also was very important that the carbon footprint of doing that transportation is quite enormous as well, quite significant. And imagine if you can actually control when that ship of tomatoes come into Sweden. You check it. You check it for two things. There's pallets of tomatoes. You check whether some of them have fungus. You check how long will they stay fresh. Is it 15 days or 20 days? Do you sell them to Kiruna or do you sell them here in Stockholm? And there's a lot of sensors that try to do that. And if you jump to the next one, please. On tomatoes, what we then do is this film I saw that I was scanning here. But since we have the ship, we can scan all this area. And these signals, it says that the yellow one, that tells you that it's a fresh, fine tomato. But when it starts ripening, when it starts molding, it produces a number of signatures. And those signatures are very visible, some of them, and some of them are very hidden. And if you use a schematic way of presenting this, that we use tunable analyzer. We do the optical scan of the fumes coming off of the pallet. We have a machine learning model on top of that, looking for the obvious and the not so obvious one. And then you can tell where it is on the scale of freshness. And if you jump to the next, this is also interesting because here you see different types. You're smiling. This is great because it tells you the different tomatoes, bananas, clementine. They all emit different fumes, but they all have the same process when they ripe and when their fungus coming up. And that makes you possible to have a data enabler that checks when the fruit is coming, when it's transported, and before it's then delivered, and you're making sure that you have the freshest, best fruits. Look at the avocados, for example. Who hasn't been in the grocery store and checked for the avocados and find them either too hard or either too soft? And that's part of the process.
How about wine?
Wine is very interesting. There's a lot of fumes. You can look at it. However, the wine industry is not the most lean forward. And then secondly, I mean, a good wine takes some years. So, and tomatoes still is a few weeks and months. So it's, but it's interesting. So I'll round this up with these samples. We do specific gas analysis. You can get the concentration of CO2, methane, ethane, whatever gases you want. That is very simple to do with our technology, and it's kind of what the traditional way of doing it is. But the most interesting of what we're doing is the gas fingerprint recognition. And with all deep tech, this technology was started 15, 20 years ago. First product was maybe 10 years ago. First commercial product was 3 to 4 years ago. So it is a journey. I had this comment that the software is much better to invest in than deep tech hardware. And that's okay. But if you really want to make a difference, and what you talked about, you have to connect the deep tech. That's where the real challenges come to. And we have just touched some more areas where we can make a difference. I know there is a lot of more, and I had a very interesting discussion earlier. I think he mentioned like 5 different things I hadn't thought about. And so if you want to know more, if you want to discuss the opportunity with this enabling technology, please talk to me.
Great.
Good.
Thank you.